Hey everybody, this is Talky Tidbits and I'm Maia Ann. So, my choice of topic for this week, I've been thinking a lot about what it means to be a role model, and so I want to talk about that a little bit today. So, first off, how do we define a role model? Well, just from my personal experience, I tend to think of a role model as someone you can look up to. Maybe they inspire you in some way. Maybe it's their personality, maybe it's their courage, maybe it's their determination, maybe it's their passion for what they do that inspires you. But as a role model, the person or persons inspire you in such a way that maybe you aspire to be kind of like that person as you get older. And so I think the meaning of a role model can be really ambiguous nowadays because we have so many ideas of what makes someone a good role model. Now, you may or may not have heard something along the lines of this before, but let me give you an example. Like, say that like a parent might say, oh, that's a great role model for my kid, or on the flip side, that's not a very good role model to follow, something like that. So what do we mean exactly by good and bad? So I think really that's up to the person in question to decide, but I think overall a role model should be someone that, inspires you to become a better version of yourself, to be a better person. And who that role model can be can really just depend on what kind of person you are, I think. It could be a friend, it could be a family member, it could be someone famous. And I know I've done some research in the past a little bit on the idea of having a role model in someone that you don't personally know or that you aren't personally intimate with, such as a friend or a family member. But I digress. I think that if you can really understand more of a person based on how they hold themselves, based on what they seem to be like, just how they continue being over the years, I think it stands to reason then that they could also be a good role model. So, for instance, I'll give an example. I have a little sister, and so, though I'm not perfect, I know I'm not saying I'm an angel, but nobody's perfect anyway. But as her older sister, I strive to be a good role model, someone, in other words, who tries to learn from my mistakes, someone who tries to learn throughout life, someone who is courageous to try new things, someone who is passionate about what the person does. So if we just step a little more broadly away from this example, you could take those aspects and apply them to someone that you consider a role model. Think about it. Ask yourself, anyone that you really look up to, and this could be more than one person, it's totally fine. Anyone that you really look up to, how do they make you feel when you think about them? What do you hope to, I guess not, receive is not the right word I'm looking for, but just like, how does it feel when you consider that role model that you have? For me, some of my role models, when I think about them, I think of staying true to myself. I think of having the courage to go through difficult situations or tough obstacles, but not give up on them. I think of continuing to possess a passion for the things that I enjoy and the things that I want to strive to be better in. For instance, language study or drawing or music, just something like that. And when I think of my role models, I think of maybe one day being like them. And I don't mean one day as in a very, very abstract future that'll never happen sort of way. I mean like over the next several years of my life, even starting from this point onward, for instance. You know, just trying to see how can I make my life better? How can I improve myself as a human being? Because I think that's what we all strive for in some way, is to figure out the secret to finding happiness in our lives and finding peace and content in our lives. And I think a role model serves as a sort of bridge between the person you are now and the kind of person that you want to become over time. I won't say in the future, because it's kind of more of a gradual process, not just something that magically happens when you're like so and so many years old, right? And at the same time, I'm not saying that a role model is going to magically make you a better person, but I am saying that I think they can help you remember and consider those kinds of traits and qualities that you value within people in general, within yourself. So, going back to that example, if I imagine courage and perseverance and an ensuing passion, an enduring passion and a courage and a strength to carry on and stay true to myself, if I think of those qualities that I seem to see oftentimes in my role models, I realize then that I am consciously picking out those traits because they are traits that I value in people in general, and in turn they are traits that I would like to better possess myself. And I think therefore that a role model, whoever it may be, be it like I said, someone very close to you, someone you personally know, or even someone that you don't personally know, but you still admire them for some reason or others. I think having a role model can help you stay grounded in what you are doing. So, like for instance, sometimes when I am going through a difficult situation, I stop what I'm doing and I take a deep breath and I ask myself, what would this person do if they were in this situation that I am going through? And more times than not, that kind of question, that kind of thought process has actually ended up helping me get through whatever situation I was going through. Because it helps reinforce the idea, I think, that you are not alone in whatever you're experiencing, right? I mean, there's billions of people in the world. Chances are at least one other person has gone through what you are going through, whatever it may be it a good situation or a bad situation or somewhere in the middle. But the point is, I think, I'm realizing as I talk about this, maybe that's also another good thing about role models. They help you remember what you value in humanity, like qualities and traits and characteristics, and they also remind you that you're not alone in whatever you're dealing with, and they also help you figure out how to get to that better version of yourself over time. So really, I think there are many ways to look up to a role model. How you do so varies depending on, again, who you are, what kind of things you believe in, that sort of thing. But in that case, by that logic, I think having a role model can also help with your mental health. I think because it gives you something more to think about than just say, oh my gosh, I'm in a difficult situation, I am never going to get through it, this is stressful. It gives your mind something to think about. Because it reminds me of a quote I read before that said basically like, worrying is like sitting in a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it doesn't get you anywhere. And the more I thought about that quote, the more I realized over time it is true. It's so easy for us to worry about things, but does that actually solve anything? No. And I think maybe having a role model can also help alleviate some of that worry that you might otherwise possess inside your mind, in your head. So, to wrap it up, I'd say a role model is not only someone that you can look up to for, courage or inspiration, but ultimately it is someone who helps you figure out who you are and who you feel you are meant to be. Because really, that's all you've got in this world, isn't it? Your true identity, and learning to let it shine, no matter what. So, there's some food for thought for this week. And until next time, I'm Maya, and this has been Talky Tidbits.